what I want to focus on as I end today before we take questions. We are going to focus, and we often do it, on the worst of a situation. And what we need to remember, and what I'm going to take from this experience, in addition to lessons that will be learned, is I'm going to focus on the best of our community and the best of the men and women that served here and served across our community. Because as I told them earlier today, we will never know how many lives they saved. We will know the number of people who perished, and every death is one death too many. But we will never, ever be able to count the number of people who were saved because of the efforts that were done here, the efforts that were done in the field, the efforts that were done in the worst conditions imaginable when you couldn't see more than this far in front of your face. I've gone through a lot as county executive. We've had snowstorms, we've had COVID, we've had the mass shooting, we've had all kinds of bad things. And each time I try to take lessons from what happened and apply them in the future. And I think it's been, as a result, we've been able to respond better. We've been able to open better, open quicker in our community. But the one thing I will never forget, and I will always cherish, is the relationships I've been able to build with the men and women here and across our community when it was so difficult, whether it was a Zoom call or I was talking face to face and we were dealing with horrific issues and having to make difficult decisions. These people are the best of who we are. They represent the best of Buffalo, the best of Erie County, the best of New York State, because there's people that came from all over. And it has been the honor of my life to work alongside them, even if I served in one small role, because they saved lives. They made a difference. And as a result, we can move forward, hopefully, as a stronger community. With that, we're going to open it up to questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Because there's so many, we are going to have it controlled off-site so that you can be unmuted by our board. We're going to start with the Buffalo News and Aaron Bessaker. Aaron, you wait for them to unmute your phone. Let me make sure I got my volume up here. And then...
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Aaron. Go ahead.
All right, thanks for taking my question. I just wanted to clarify, earlier when you were doing the breakdown of the fatalities, I believe you said all 7 suburban deaths were in Cheektowaga.
No. Did I say
earlier.
that? That's wrong.
Okay.
The 7 suburban deaths were, I wrote down Cheektowaga, and that's why I probably just read it that way. 7 deaths were a combination of Amherst, Williamsville, Cheektowaga, and Depew, with Williamsville being primarily in Amherst as the village. So that has not increased or changed in the last few days. There are 7 deaths, a combination of Amherst, the towns of Amherst and the town and Cheektowaga, and the villages of Williamsville and the village of Depew.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. We will go down to, I don't have my glasses, Jeff Preval from Channel 4. I do have my glasses.
County Executive, can you hear me?
I can. If you can just speak a little louder, Jeffrey.
Sure. Could you just clarify the situation here with the bills? You had indicated the other day that the team had requested a police escort, but then was denied one from their trip from Rochester. Can you clarify, because the bills are now saying that they never requested an escort? Could you just...
Well, I will say this, they never requested one of me. I was informed that they were, but they never requested one from me. So I should have probably said yesterday they never requested one from me. I was told that it was, but I can't speak to that. If the person actually who told me that is not here. I just want to note, I know it's a big thing in people's minds, but right now we need to focus on recovery. We need to focus on helping these people grieve. When we think about what we went through as a community and helping those families grieve after the May 14th shooting, which was just the worst thing possible. And we're going to have double that triple that number of deaths probably when all is said and done. And some of those families don't even know their loved one is dead yet. So I know that a lot of people want to focus on those issues, but we need to focus on recovery. We need to help these families grieve so that we can, as a community, come together. Tim Wanger, WBEN. I think it's Tim.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much, Mark. You said a lot yesterday, and you've apologized for it today. You mentioned that the city wasn't present at the op center, and today you said they were. Can you just clarify? You've apologized, but what your intent was? What do are there things you intend to follow up on and do based on what you said?
Tim, I believe that the mayor and I will have a conversation, and we'll go into greater detail about a lot of those issues that I just brought up. But I did want to apologize to the community because the focus needs to be on, and I wanted to apologize to the men and women in the Department of Public Works for the City of Buffalo who've been working their butts off in just terrible conditions. But I want people to understand that our focus is on recovery and moving forward. And the conversations I have with the mayor will be conversations between us, and we'll go from there. There's plenty of time for Monday morning quarterbacking. I should have done it. Simple as that. There's plenty of time for these discussions in the future. Right now, we need to focus on moving forward, and we can always be critical of others, and I need to be critical of myself for what I did yesterday. It was just wrong. It was inappropriate, and we will go forward and hopefully, as a result of this, provide a better overall response as a community. We stand ready, and I look forward to discussing this with the mayor. Spectrum News 1, Buffalo.
Hello. So you mentioned that data is being collected from those calling the snow line so that guards don't need to go to their home for a check. Is there something that people who didn't have power should do to report that they're okay in order to allow National Guard to maybe focus on the homes that have a more urgent need?
Well, anybody who contacted the 858 snow number will be contacted back. If you just lost power, you lost power for a shorter period of time, they're not going out to those homes. They're going to the worst areas that received, truthfully had power lost even through yesterday, because power was not fully restored until basically last night. So I know they had done hundreds and hundreds of calls yesterday. They're back out there. I would not suggest calling because we'll get flooded. If we get flooded, but every person who had a power outage called us, we would never be able to handle all those calls, because there at one time was more than 20,000 customers in Erie County that were without power for an extended period of at least one day, 2 or 3 days, around 20, and we'd never be able to handle that flow. So they are doing the welfare checks. They have been doing welfare checks. So the Sheriff's Office and others, the Buffalo PD, the EMS, they are doing welfare checks. But just because your power went out, please don't call. We are calling those that we felt were in the most we're calling everyone back that called 858 snow to make certain that they're okay, whether they were in a car, whether they were out of food. We want to just make certain that everyone's okay. If you were without power, the National Grid for the National Guard is doing that check. Kristen Moran.
Hi there. I'm curious. So we have some people reaching out to us saying that they couldn't get into work, because of the storm, or due to the storm, they still can't get into work. Because of that, they're not getting paid. Is there anything you guys have discussed or plan to discuss with either the State Department of Labor, Governor's Office regarding helping people with payments that they missed out, or does this really just come down to the employer and the employee?
It is unfortunately an employer-employee issue, and FEMA does reimbursement, and we're going to seek reimbursement for the governments. It is only for the governmental response. It is not for private damage. It is not for private loss. I'll turn it over to our Commissioner of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, Dan Neverth, who can talk a little bit more about it. But I feel sorry for those who've lost wages, lost money that they probably needed more than ever at the holiday season. But unfortunately, the county, nor the state, nor the federal government reimburses for private sector and personal loss.
Yeah, as we try and reclaim at least the public assistance, unfortunately, this was not a snowfall of record. So as the county executive and other elected officials have said, this is going to require teamwork and a full court press to change some of the rules that FEMA currently has, which essentially they say no dough for snow. Now, the record, the snowfall of record was just about 5 weeks ago here in Western New York. So the snowfall of record, despite all of the tragedy and all of the additional costs that have been incurred, as well as all of the damages that we've yet to get out on the public side of things, to take a look at schools, roofs, everything else, buildings that might have been destroyed, Despite that, the fact that it falls 6, 7, or 8 inches short of the previous record should not be a disqualifier. So we're working that in addition to all of the things that are going on here, we're working that angle as well with our elected officials. Hopefully that will be changed. But as far as individuals, that unfortunately at this point, the Department of Labor might want to weigh in on that. But certainly at this point, that is between your business as well as, between you and your business. So there's no avenue on that at this point. We'll look into it. We'll push those complaints if they're filed, but at this point, there's really not a whole lot that we can do.
Thank you, Dan. We'll take 2 more questions. Those are the only 2 I have, and we have to go. Kevin Nyas, you'll be unmuted.
Yes, Kevin Nyes with NBC News. We spoke to a resident who says on Friday the fire department came by his mother's home, and his mother, she relies on limited mobility oxygen supply, and her power was out. However, the fire department told her that they could not take her with her. We were wondering, why is the county not prepared in situations like this to transport people who have limited mobility issues like this woman?
Well, Kevin, I can't speak of this particular situation other than to note the county does not actually run any fire department. I don't know if this is a Buffalo Fire Department. I don't know if this is a volunteer fire department outside of the city and the towns. There are full-time...
Yes, this was in the city of Buffalo.
Okay, well, I guess I would direct that question to the Buffalo Fire. I can't answer that question. We have our Homeland Security Emergency Services Department. They're the trainers for firefighters. They help get them equipment through grants and things like that, but the actual fire departments are run by independent agencies. So if it did occur in the city of Buffalo, then I just ask you to direct your question to the city of Buffalo Fire Department, which I believe you'd have to go through the mayor's office on. Final question is to Kelly Holland. Kelly, Fox 29.
Hey, Mark. Just wanted to touch base on financials. 2 once-in-a-generation storms, November, December. I'm guessing millions of dollars for each federal reimbursement coming, but how long will that take? And how does this impact county finances budget until that funding is received from the federal government?
Well, if it's received, which is a thing that we're going to be working, and I've already spoken on this storm to Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand, Congressman Higgins. We're hopeful that we will get reimbursement for our costs associated with the storm. We saw the federal declaration was made, but FEMA can be a little stickler at times. That's why we're asking for every community to dot their I's and cross their T's on the paperwork that's needed. I know that as I said, we've expended $5 million alone on independent contractors just for this storm, basically independent contractors since last Friday. And there were a couple days in which, of course, we didn't have anybody on the street, so we're $1 million a day, including $1 million yesterday to open up the southern part of Buffalo. The one thing I will note is we've been very good stewards of the public's finances. We were trending for a significant surplus even before the November storm that hit the South Towns. And regardless of what the expense is between now and just the end of this year, we will have significant reserves from this year alone to cover it. So even if we didn't get FEMA reimbursement, we will still end up with a surplus this year. And so there's accounting methods that are put in place to ensure that money is, like, we have as the county controllers, people know that the money that's spent between now and the rest of the year is 2022. The money that we spend in 2023, we actually can apply back to this event because it's 2022, so we can use our surplus that has risen throughout this year to cover the costs. I can guarantee the people of Erie County that not only will we end this year with a surplus, this will not have a negative ramification on our bottom line. It's important, but when you think about the grand scheme of things, it's the least important thing. The most important thing is our community moving forward and helping those 39 families that we're aware of, with unfortunately more that'll probably be coming, get through this tragic situation of losing a loved one. But we're fine on the finances. I've got a great team led by Budget Director Robert Keating in the budget office and others who've just done incredible work. And they've been working behind the scenes in other areas as well throughout this whole storm. So thank you to Budget Director Keating and his team for the great work they've done, so that even though we've had these two tremendous storms that have required us to expend millions and millions of unanticipated dollars, we're going to be fine going forward. With that, this will end the news briefing for today. We are, as I said, demobilizing or beginning to demobilize the Emergency Operations Center. I have so much great respect for the men and women in this building. They are the true heroes, along with everyone else in the field who've done a tremendous work. So we are not planning on having another media briefing with regards to the storm. This will probably be my last day at the EOC, as I'll be back tomorrow at the Rath Building downtown, as county government offices are now open, and my staff is out, most of it is returned back downtown. So to everyone out there, thank you for all that you did to get us through this once in a generation, as they say. Hopefully it's once that we never see again. Storm, blizzard, the blizzard of 2022. And I really, really hope that we all have the best new year possible, and that 2023 brings us much joy and happiness after a very, very, very difficult 2022. Be safe and well to all.